y'all. We're going to get started with this panel, our 5 pillars panel. I'm going to introduce the moderator, Melissa Mel, co-founder of Melanin Minds. Melissa is based out of LA and is a full-time creative director for over 12 years. Don't let the melanin fool you, y'all. She's a lot older than she looks, okay? She is also the creator of the WOMI app. The WOMI app is one of the original businesses that started Melanin Minds, and the WOMI app is a directory, a native directory for people of color and LGBTQIA to list their businesses so conscious consumers can buy products and know who they're buying from. So she did that on her own. Didn't you use Codeless App Builder or something to start that? And then after that, like, did a whole bunch of other stuff? Okay, yeah. Really good. If you have questions about app building and stuff, Mel's a resource for sure. Let's see what else. Okay, creative director, minority. Oh, I did a good job of that one too. All right, Mel is also a big advocate for Black and LGBTQIA different things all around the country. She is a voice for people that may not often have the voice or haven't figured out who they identify with and what communities they can be a part of, and is the backbone to all of the creating of all of the branding of Melanin Minds. And so without further ado, Melissa Mel.
Thanks, guys. Y'all know how to make a girl feel good. Okay. All righty. Okay. How y'all feeling? Are y'all having a good time at the conference? Yes? Okay, awesome. Well, if you haven't heard already yet about our pillars, this is going to give you a great overview so you can touch on all 5, so it's a little mini conference within a conference. So first, I'll give a quick overview of the pillars, and then I'll have our panelists introduce themselves, and then we can get into the goods. So the 5 pillars, we like to call them our 5 pillars of wellness. The first is aligning. So aligning on your options when it comes to mental health, your mental health journeys and goals, legally and medically, what your options are to, help you on your journey. Relationships, so not just romantic, but friendships, family, community relationships, all of the interactions that we have on our everyday lives that affect how we feel about ourselves. Nutrition, so everything that goes into our bodies also affects our minds, our fitness, all of those things. Mindset shifting, so intergenerational conversations, breaking stigmas, reframing your thought processes. And holistic healing. So that's all of the sound bowl healing, the yoga, all of our ancestral practices that maybe there's built some stigmas around and misunderstandings, but we are reclaiming those. So I will pass the mic over and have everyone introduce themselves, and I will assign you your pillars if you don't already know. Okay, well, yeah.
Testing.
Yep, turn it on.
Testing. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Excellent. My name is Tafari Miller. I am a community relations specialist, marketer, behavioralist, and what else? I'm just introducing myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you, Tafari.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Dr. Latasha Warren Bernard. I am a family nurse practitioner as well as a faculty member at United States University in San Diego. That's pretty much all I got right now.
Good morning. My name is Gwen. I am a nurse, certified nutritionist, and DEI advocate. And that's it.
Good morning. I'm Linda Brown. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm an ordained pastor.
Good morning. My name's LaGina.
She is one of the co-founders of Melanin Minds.
Stop there. You always tired of hearing me say that.
Yes. Alrighty. So the first pillar that we're going to start with is aligning, and for that, we're going to talk to Latasha first. Can you tell us about your current role working in the transgender community and the impact it's had on marginalized youth and their families' mental health?
So I am a family nurse practitioner. I do currently work as a transgender, non-binary, queer primary healthcare provider. So I do provide a lot of things, including anxiety, depression services to that community. So in all honesty, kind of coming into this, I am just naturally an ally to what people would say is underdogs. When I feel people are being bullied for things that has nothing to do with you or you right? I just kind of like to step in as that advocate. So coming into this community and working with them has been very interesting for me and eye-opening as well. I've learned that hearing the stories of my patients made me realize that a lot of their fears come from their childhood, which is really interesting. Majority of my patients, when I speak to them and their mental health and understanding, why they have so much anxiety and depression, it's coming from, my parents, when I was 3, this happened, and when I was 15, this happened, and they just kind of shunned me out and just, So it was a pivotal point for me because it's just something that they don't teach you in school, right? So I just feel like it allows me to really see that the way that we maneuver has a lot to do with our past, and that literally that aligning, right? I truthfully believe in it takes a tribe, and not just a tribe when you're 6, 7, and he really needs you, but like a tribe from like the time you're born to the time you die, right? And we typically lose that mentality in adolescence, which I am a huge advocate for adolescent health. I love my adolescents. They are just easy to talk to. They absorb so much, but they know so little. So that time between 13 to literally like 21 is a big point, and we lose that tribe. Oh, you're on your own, go ahead and go. Oh, you're married, go ahead and go. No, honey, I still need my tribe. Like, I still need y'all here. So for me, I feel like living as a person that's helping this community has really helped with my alignment as well, right? And really understanding how to live my life and understand that you're a human being. I love you for who you are. And I tell my patients, I was like, do you, honey? Be the bad person that you are. What you do with your life ain't got nothing to do with them. And if they don't like it, then you love them from a distance. So that's just my take.
Love that. And you are an independent diagnostician. And with that, you are able to collaborate with other members of multifaceted organizations to optimize care and quality of life. So can you talk to us about the importance of a healthcare team? Like if anyone was here for the menopause panel, Myra Shaw mentioned that she has a full team of experts, not just a doctor, not just an OBGYN. So talk to us about who's on your team and who should we be adding?
So for me, it's a little bit interesting because I do work in a telehealth kind of like world. And I typically, and I can't speak really for anybody else, is the moment I meet my patients, I always ask, who's your healthcare provider, your primary care provider, right, in person that you see? And who is your psychiatrist or even your therapist? And some of my patients are like, oh, I'm so glad you asked, because here is so-and-so's number because she wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay, well, just make sure you sign that, release of information for me, please, before I start going off. But I honestly will say that for me, it's just whoever I can just get in contact with to help make sure that we collaborate and give you the best care possible. We don't really per se work with certain people. I personally take that initiative and go a little bit further. Sometimes even when I'm talking to my patients and they say, oh, my wife or my husband, I'm like, get your wife and husband. Let's all have a talk and talk about this, because I want them to also know that what's about to happen in your journey doesn't just involve just you, it involves them as well, right? Or even their kids or things like that. So even though I'm able to diagnose and talk to other clinicians or other people in different healthcare, I take it a little bit further, and I try to let my patients know, like, it doesn't have to be just your psychiatrist or your therapist or, your OBGYN, or maybe that we can work together. It also includes your family. So I work really closely with a lot of mental health providers, psychiatrists, psychiatric nurse practitioners, in terms of just making sure we have a full holistic insight for our patients. So yeah.
Love that. And I'd love to open it up to the rest of the panel too. Who would you say is on your mental health team, whether they are professional service providers, people like you mentioned, family? Who's on y'all mental health team to make sure y'all are taking care of yourselves?
I got this really best friend, and she happens to be a licensed clinical or social worker, and she is just amazing. I really can talk to her about anything. I have a great supportive family, real supportive, because I live by myself for the first time. I've been living by myself for 3 years. I'm so excited.
Okay, Miss Linda.
And I'm ready to get married again. Okay, and yes. So, but I do have the support system. So I use them.
I'm building out my team. Last year, I was very open about the fact that, like, even as a co-founder of a mental health nonprofit, I didn't have a therapist. I have a therapist now, and yes, a therapist. But even being on the journey of mental health through the first year of the conference and the second year, what I found out is that, I should interview these people. Like, I asked them questions. I'm like, you have kids? What are you doing? Where do you hang out? Like, if I had you come on, like, just questions that would really help me understand if they were going to be able to help me in the things that I needed. So I have a therapist. I have somebody, an unofficial life coach that, I'll call that will guide me back. And then I have a lot of people in my circle that aren't yes people. I think that that's really important because I have a frontward facing life and a strong personality. So having people around me that aren't always just saying yes to me, half of my people be like, no, LaGina, like that's the phrase. So that's how I'm building out my team.
Nice. Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay.
I comment real fast. For me, it's family. Family is first above all thing else, outside of God. And I have some mentors and I have adopted elders that I confide in. Yeah, got to speak to the wisdom and, so I can definitely clear out, see what's the best path to take because we can't do it alone.
I love that. That life experience is so valuable. Okay.
Thank you.
So next we are going to hop to our relationships pillar. And for that, we are talking to LaGina. So you skipped on your intro, but for LRI Let's Talk and LRI Let's Talk to Men About It, you've created space for women to share their unapologetic stories. And now with Melanin Minds, we're creating and curating spaces to build relationships with strangers, speakers, community leaders. How have some of the healthy and or unhealthy relationships in your business and across friendships affected your mental health?
I'm an emotional person. I'm a Cancer. I tell people I'm emotional, But as I go through my business journey and understand how different people operate, and like you were saying, the story behind people really matters. In removing it's about you in things, because it's usually not about you when people are replying or responding how they do. That's something I always work on because, even yesterday I took something very personal, but it may not have been about me. So after the conference, I'll reflect on it type thing, in the moment. But when I built out Lorraine Infinity Let's Talk, that podcast was really centered around women telling their unapologetic story because a lot of women in my life, friends and family would tell me things like breast cancer, abortion, divorce, choosing career over family, like building out a family, all the things. And it was all coupled with don't tell, I don't want to talk about again. Thank you for creating space. And I was in an unhappy job. I was listening to NPR a lot, and NPR has some fire podcasts, and I was like, I could do that. And I went to all these friends, and I was like, hey, I know you just told me that in confidence, but would you be willing to have me record it and just, put it out there for everybody to possibly be able to hear? And what I found is the more you create spaces for people to tell their story, everybody has something to say. And it's part of a relationship because, over time, that first season, I knew everybody. The second season was during COVID, and it was all women in Houston. I knew none of them. The third season, I had never met most of them, but they still all were able to yield to me these very private, very intimate stories that would help other people. And through that, we started building our own relationships. And I think that a lot of times when we say relationship, people think it's your boo automatically, right? But the relationship with yourself is really important. And, as a business owner, making sure that your relationship with yourself is realistic is beyond important. So that's where I kind of lean.
Yeah, Okay, awesome. Last year, or maybe it was the first year, we talked about breaking up with your therapist. And part of relationships, oftentimes, thank you, is the ending, right? So, how can we, and I'll open this up to the full panel as well, how can we normalize healthy ends to relationships? Because even like loving people from afar, or it's hard. It's hard to have to put yourself first. So, healthier, unhealthy ends to relationships, how can we normalize?
I would say transitioning and moving away, and transitioning. So anytime you want to try something new, take your time with it. Don't just dive into it, not unless you absolutely have to. But when you take your time and transition away from it, and then you also need to let yourself know why you are doing this. And you also need to, if the situation allows, let the other person know why, you have harmed me, you have hurt me, just so you can have clarity and ensure that you forgive yourself, and, so you can move on properly.
Yes, forgiving yourself is key for sure.
I would say first is acceptance, accepting how you feel about the situation, just being grounded in that, being openly honest with yourself. So the journey to all of that starts within, and you have to be 1,000% with yourself first. And then from there, you can outwardly express that through effective communication and honesty. So you can transition into the next phase. And that's what it is, either in the beginning of a relationship and during the process or the end of one. Just being completely honest with yourself first before all else.
Love that.
For me, it was not me not wanting to end a relationship. It was someone else, a very friend, almost 30 years. And I couldn't get it because what she was saying really wasn't happening at all. It was all in her mind and stuff. But you know what I did? I accepted her choice. Took a minute. So I accepted what she wanted. Wasn't what I wanted, but that's what you want. Okay, I'll be all right.
And I found that out in relationships too. I've had people separate themselves from me and then be like, did you notice that I separate myself? And I'm like, yeah, because, reason, season, and lifetime. I really believe that in relationships. There are, and, being a military brat, at first I really didn't understand. I was just like, I'll know you for 3 years, then I may never see you again because I'm not writing you a letter. Thank God there's social media now. But that reason, season, and lifetime, it helps you put things into perspective, right? Sometimes, I think you said it on your panel the other day, like there's no enemies, there's opportunities for learning, right? So when you look at things like that and you look at relationships, that reason, that season, and that lifetime, take stuff out of it being, again, about you and more about how the universe is working, how the next thing you need to go, maybe that difficult friendship or relationship from left to right helps you navigate the next thing. Because even with Melanin Minds, there's a lot of things we learn every time a relationship goes really good or when it goes really bad. We learn so much. And, and we also give ourselves space to, talk our talk in the corner and then come back and figure out how we're going to navigate, how we're going to make things better.
Yes, we do. We do a lot of that. Okay, so we're going to move on to nutrition. And Gwendolyn, you said something in your workshop, socioeconomic illnesses. So can you break down the definition and cycle of those and how food deserts and things play into BIPOC health?
Okay, so what I call socioeconomic illness is that when you think about the neighborhoods that we live in, our neighborhoods usually have cracked sidewalks, limited transportation, no real food markets. We have corner stores, dollar stores, and a lot of fast food restaurants that do not really provide us with the nutrients that we need to survive, to live, right? And then we want to break up the word survive versus living, and I can explain that later. So when we are placed in these neighborhoods, when we grow up in these neighborhoods, we don't get what we need to have good health, right? we don't get the fresh produce. We may not be in the safest neighborhood. So everything may be literally fright or flight. What am I going to do? How am I going to be able to provide? The example that I gave was the mother that has children and they're school age and she still has to go to work. So she's getting up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting herself together. Then she has to get 3 children off to school. So she may not have time to fix breakfast. So what does she do? She goes to that McDonald's or that Burger King and she's buying the hash browns or whatnot every day, 5 days a week for her children to eat.
The $2 bundle.
Yes, ma'am. So what type of nutrition is that actually providing for that child? They are disadvantaged already at birth just because of the neighborhood that they were born into and that they did not ask for. Then they don't have the proper nutrition to perform well in school, right? So it's almost like we are being fed mental illness. We are being fed diabetes. We are being fed high blood pressure. So we, as a people, collectively, we have to take responsibility for our nutrition. And as I stated yesterday in the workshop, when it comes to having community meetings, town halls, back home in Baltimore, I used to always say, come on to this meeting so we can find out what's going on in the neighborhood. People said they did not think their voice was heard. But let me tell you, if you open your mouth, you put pen to paper, they will hear you. So you have the power to bring nutrition to your neighborhood, whether that is a farmer's market, whether that is local farms, like farms in each block or neighborhood, or better food markets that offer affordable produce. I don't know if you actually pay attention, but for the neighborhoods that lack food markets, the corner store that may have produce, not only is it bad most of the time, but it's overpriced like 4 times. So, yes, that's about to go rotten. So we have to ensure that we nourish ourselves properly, right? And again, what's in neighborhood A may not be in neighborhood B, C, or D, but you have to understand what's in your neighborhood and understand what you have access to and be willing and not fearful to ask for what is rightfully yours.
Love that. And I'll open this to the rest of the panel as well. What are some things that you've noticed when it comes to nutrition and fitness and your mental health? Like for me, my therapist kept telling me to go walk in the sun, and there wasn't a lot of sun in LA for a few months. But once I started getting out and walking at least a mile a day, I noticed so much more mental clarity. Like it was such a big difference. So what are some things, whether it's nutrition or fitness, that you all notice when you go without or when you implement it, you notice a difference in your mental health?
I know personally myself, my weight loss journey kind of started, actually my weight loss journey has started always, has just been there. But being more intentional with it has been within the past 2 years. So I feel like my therapy for me every morning is getting up and going to the gym. I have a trainer. She's not just my trainer, she's my friend. And we've created a relationship. And honestly, for me, I feel like the pivotal point was one day I don't really know what it was. I suffer from anxiety and depression. And I called her and I said, Gigi, I might not come into the gym tonight because I'm really depressed right now. I was like, so you need to call me at 5 o'clock and tell me to get my butt out this chair or out this bed. And she said, well, what's going on? And I just told her and explained to her. And she's like, okay, cool. So literally at 5:30, she's like, she texted me, she said, your butt better be on the way here. And I was like, I am. So for me, I think getting up 4 days a week, going work out, I enjoy it now. Don't get me wrong, she get the eyes, I may cuss her a couple of times under my breath, but I enjoy seeing her face. I enjoy being in their environment, and I didn't think I would, and here I am a year now into training with her. It's been over a year, and I don't want to train with anybody else because she knows me and she understands me, and I can feel comfortable enough to be like, Gigi, I'm having a bad day today. And she's like, okay, no worries. Well, we won't talk during the session, so go ahead and put your earphones on and I'll just tell you what workouts you need to do. So for me, it's really helped my mental health. I do see my therapist every week or every other week, but this for me is like I'm starting my day with my therapy, which is me working out.
Working out is good. I mean, no, I'm thinking about it, right? Like from the standpoint of being a business owner and my relationship with myself as a business owner, you know, sometimes people we work from dusk to dawn, right? And I think it's about the seasons and understanding the relationship of even with your business. There are appropriate times to do that. So the people that are like, don't do this and don't do that, I just don't like hearing that, right? Find what works for you. And I'm coming out of this season where I have to keep my head down in my business the whole time and, you know, send emails and make people know I'm present and be it, you know, all the events that have to be done. And now I'm in a space where all the seeds I planted, I'm nurturing those. And in my head, I earmarked, I'm like, okay, LaGina, once that moves, you go back to what you enjoy, which is working out, because this body is powerful, like ancestral wise. Like I'll put a month in this mug and it's ready to go, right? Like I could go to the Olympics, baby. But when I think about that, I'm like, okay. So lately I've been getting up in the morning because I used to like calendar out time from like 6:30 to 8:30 just to email and do things. Now I don't do that. Emails can wait. I have a personal assistant that clears out all the junk mail, which is great. And you know, I pay her $50 for 1 hour and she's able to do it. Boom. That saves me 4 hours because she's also able to siphon out stuff. You don't need to read that. You don't need to read that. You don't need to read that. So it saves me so much time. So I just walk my neighborhood and I keep it to where I'm comfortable. So when I'm first getting my legs moving, I email and then I put that up and I blast my music and I take a couple laps and then I walk a little bit more. Then I go inside, I get dressed and then I go about my day. And it's just been giving me more energy. But it's about that like not shaming, like everybody needs to go work out right now. It may not be that part of your journey and it's more stressful to feel bad about the things you're not doing that everybody else says you can do versus you being realistic about where you are. Like, you know, if you need a mental health break, take a mental health break. If you don't need one and you could push, right? And so that for me, when I think about nutrition and aligning and a relationship, that's where all those fall into play for me.
And with the workout situation, honestly and truthfully, I know you said that you kind of need what works for you. Any movement. If you get up in the morning and just stretch, literally just like sit down and just stretch it out, stretch your arms behind your back, whatever it may be, literally you'll be surprised what you're releasing before you even start your day. So it doesn't have to be go weightlifting, CrossFit, swimming 17 laps. It literally can just be getting up on the side of your bed, stretching, touching your toes, and then be like, okay, my spine feel free, and keep moving.
I agree. I lay in bed and stretch sometimes. Like
Is that
yes. The last 3 days when we've gotten home from the conference, like y'all hit those stairs and stuff, like it's a thing. And I was like, okay, the IT band's tight. And you know, you just lay this way with your knees and then switch this way. And I woke up in the morning and my knees don't hurt and aren't tight because your knees get tight and stuff. If your IT band, your lower back gets tight. If your IT band and your butt, a lot of us have a lot of butt muscles because we're people of color and we're blessed with butts. But you need your butt massaged. You need it worked out. And so that's a muscle because we faux pas so many things in our bodies and everything else. We don't get that done. It's like a no-no spot, but it's a huge muscle and it's holding up your back. That's why you see a lot of Black women and women of color hunched over when they're older. It's because their backs from their butt. I could go into that, but I know.
Yes, we'll move on to our mindset shifting pillar, and for that we'll talk to Tafari. You work a lot with BIPOC youth and families. What are some of the intergenerational mindset shifts that are most impactful and most needed in our communities?
That's a great question.
Thank you. I did them. Yay, good questions.
I would say, and we've been touching on it throughout this conference, from my observation, is just dealing with working with families is them, mostly parents, not accepting their bad parenting and the effects they have on their children. A lot of times, a lot of the mental health illnesses I see in the child is a reflection of the parent. So even if I can work with this child all day, but still, they still going home to the same toxic environment at home. So a lot of times I have to focus on the parent as well, or the whole family. A lot of the things is nutrition plays a part in that. Poor relationships, dynamics play a part of that. So it's multidimensional, so I have to figure out what's the best way to attack it. But the biggest thing is just being open and honest with these parents and showing them themselves and how their behaviors are playing out in their children. Yeah.
That's powerful. Getting parents to accept their bad parenting, and it's I found
which is not an easy thing to do.
I found a stat that nearly 3 out of 4 Gen Z said they wish they had more emotional support over the last year. So that's very interesting. What are some of the damaging like habits or patterns that we may not realize are rooted in generational trauma?
Not facing our fears. Or in other words, not facing your demons, and addressing it, effectively communicating how you're feeling and what's going on and what has happened, and having a game plan of what you're going to do about it. The follow through is always king. So if you're not addressing your trauma and having a plan to work through it, change cannot happen.
Yeah, I think that that's great that you say not fixing your fears, because I think to my nephew, and I didn't get a lot of spankings growing up. It was like lying, cheating, stealing, not defending family. Like mine was very, but my brother, different story. And now I think about it, and like my nephew, I'll be like, I'm gonna get you. And he's like, you're gonna get me? And he's like reasoning with me. He's like, but why would you do that? And I'm like, I'm really not, because you have a firm booty. It hurts me more than it hurts you, all of these things. But half the time when I'm correcting him on something and I'll start yelling or something, I'm like, wait, LaGina, it's because you're scared of that. Or it's because you don't want him to make the mistake you made. But what if he needs to make that now, so that when he's 38, he's not worried about making that mistake? The other day, I mentored some young ladies, and one young lady was just talking about that, she was talking about what she was salty about from last year. And she was like, yeah, I really didn't focus on my grades. I let this guy get me down. But now this year, I know that it's not about that. I need to focus on myself and and it was just so enlightening. And I was like, you're 14. But again, it's about that space to create and not invoking our fears on our younger generations as well, versus like understanding what we're fearful of, that they're knocking down in a whole different way than we are.
Yes, love that. What are some, and this is open to you, the whole panel, and even the audience, because we've heard a lot of like, I wasn't expecting this, or I didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't this. What are some mindset shifts that any of y'all have experienced throughout the conference? Open to y'all as well. Feel free to shout them out.
I'm one of the people where you got to repeat the question.
Oh, yes. What mindset shifts have you gone through throughout the conference?
This is a challenging question, because I think that people are still shifting in their mind, and it's still a processing thing. And I'll take it as y'all like marinate on it, because I read your cue cards. So I'm like, okay, my mindset shift right now is we're wrapping our heads around the fact that like so many people are walking up and want to help. And I'm not at the point where I'm like, I don't accept help. I'm like, here, what do you need? Like, take it off of my plate, please. But the way we're gonna be able to funnel help in at this point, like that's a mindset shift. Because year one, like no lie, we were the camera, the AV, the photographers, the caterer, the candlestick, and it was a whole thing. And then the next year we had a little more help. And even last night we were sitting with some of the volunteers that are our ambassadors. Shout out to our ambassadors. Woo, 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 woo. Shout out to all our volunteers that are here. Woo. Thank you. And we're sitting with them, and one, it was really cool to be able to, even pay for a drink, with our Melanin Minds card, and to hear, oh yeah, last year, y'all remember, we just were like, bye, see you in the morning. And this year, we're sitting, being able to break bread and laugh and talk about like the benefits of being an ambassador. And they're like, y'all should do this. We need more accountability. And we're like, wow. So that's a mindset shift for us that we're graciously taking in. So that's a big one.
For me personally, I wouldn't say mindset shift on it, but more of a focus or a highlight in the power of modeling positive behaviors, especially for young people. So for me, I'm touched right here on the seat. I get to look at my daughter behind the camera, and just that within itself is beyond imagination. Like the small things. So who knows how far this moment is gonna take her, or what she's gonna use this to become, or she's gonna use it to transform somebody else's life. So yeah, I just want to put that out there real fast.
Cool.
I'm thankful. Give thanks to the Almighty.
Yeah. She can travel with us, by the way. You want to travel with us?
Mama Harris has a
Mama
mindset
Harris
shift to share.
Everybody,
I was telling someone yesterday, actually I was telling them that in my career, I've gone to over 90 conferences easily. And this conference has set the bar because, excuse me, this conference has this open feeling, like you can go here, you can go there, you can talk to people. You're not glued to your chair where everyone's watching you like, don't you move. We have a panel. You can just move around, talk to people, enjoy yourself, pull out your phone, take notes. Someone said, oh yeah, we're in the digital age. Get that phone out, take notes. And so I have felt very comfortable here, and it feels like a super positive environment. I enjoy the sound bowls. I enjoy the food tasting. And conferences need to reimagine themselves into this safe learning space that you've provided. And I'm grateful for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom. She told me that last night. I started bawling. Yes, Leilani.
I think just creativity and healing has happened in more ways than I thought immediately happened. Like it's just naturally been like with Harris, the beads that fell off the bracelet, and I'm gonna make some new jewelry. I started writing again, talking about poetry and just healing from trauma that I've experienced as a child. Sound bowls and thinking, wow, this is helpful in a spiritual way. I wasn't expecting it.
I love that so much. All right, I'm not gonna take any more because I'm gonna cry. But
And-
please send us like video testimonials. DM this to us. Like we would love to hear this, just not in a space where we can.
I do want to say one small thing. Let me tell you something, and that's to kind of bounce off of what you were saying. Black people will take tragic situations and turn them into the most beautiful thing you have ever seen in your entire life. And the reason why I said that is because the panel yesterday, there were so many people up here that talked about their suicide attempts, suicidal thoughts, their traumas, whatever it may be, and literally took something that should have broke us down and put us 6 feet under and turned it and made it to something amazing. And being someone who has dealt with the same things, to see it, it makes me so much more comfortable to be like, oh, okay, I can do that too. Like I can take something that has put me in such a dark place and make it positive. I am nowhere near any type of social media like influencer or anything, but my therapy is literally speaking about my journey when it comes to depression and the things that I went through. And my journey started in 2015 with my suicidal thoughts and my plans and things like that. And from then on, it's just been something I've been completely open with. I was definitely embarrassed about it. Being on medications, I was like, why do I need medications to, help me out? This is embarrassing. But now I'm like, even my patients, I'm like, you better take that, man. They're like, oh, I feel good. That's why you feel good. What are you talking about, right? So to see all of you come together and to be so creative and taking those your lowest point and bringing it to your highest point, I think is just the most beautiful thing I've seen all weekend, honestly. So congrats to everyone for doing that, literally everyone for doing that.
Thank you. All righty, we're gonna hop into our last pillar. So we started our morning with Miss Linda. We're gonna close out with Miss Linda. Soul care. What are some practical ways that we can nurture our mind, will, and emotions once we step out of this conference?
That's a great question, Mel, thank you so much. It's audience participation time. Again, I'd like to demonstrate, if I may. We're going a part of life is breath. You got to breathe in order to continuously live, right? So we're going to practice some breathing, but in a different thought life, if you will. The word inhale means to inspire. The word exhale means to expire, to throw it out, to bring it to a conclusion. So as you take your breath in now, and I'm gonna ask you to sit up straight in your seats, put your feet flat on the floor. If you got anything in your hands or anything, put that aside. Put your palms down. Okay? You can keep your eyes open or close, your choice. But as you take the breath in, how are you being inspired? You're taking in oxygen. So take a deep breath in through the nose. And as you exhale that breath, whatever is holding on to you, let it go right now. So breathe it out real through the mouth. Let it go. This time, take the deep breath in. And again, it's inspiration, it's oxygen. You actually take it in, the nutrients that you need to actually live. And that which is toxic and holding on to you, blow it out. As you go through your life, understand, breath is important. It is your life. But how much are you taking in of your stuff that's keeping you from, first of all, breathing and living, for real living? And to know that you can let it go. There's one other exercise I want to do real quick, and it's going to blow your mind. I usually do it in zones. We're going to do it all together, okay? So what I'd like for you to do, and I'm going to demonstrate, hold this for me if you will. You're going to sit there. We're going to actually tense up our whole body. So you got to let the feet and stuff, go. And you're going to take a deep breath in. You're going to hold it, and I'm going to count down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when I say 1, you're going to let it go. You're going to drop everything. But as you're taking that breath in, you're going to tense up, and you're going to tense it up just like this. Get real ugly, okay? Hold the breath, and then I'm going to count down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's take some breaths in first. Let's practice breathing in. Hold it, and blow it out slowly. One more time, deep breath in. Hold it, and I'm going to count down, and as I count, you let it a little bit go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. All right, now we're going to tense up as we take that breath in. So take the deep breath in. Hold it. Tense up everything that's in you. Just hold on to it. And let it go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop it like it's a boulder.
Nobody passed out, right?
One more time. Let's do it. Take a deep breath in. And tense up. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. How you feeling in your body? Anybody feel any pain or any little place in the body? Sorry? You lightheaded? Okay.
Dizziness. Anybody got dizziness? Raise your hand. Yeah. Dizziness. Okay.
Actually, if you do that about 3 or 4 times, you can actually feel where the stress is in your body. Mine usually used to be in this shoulder here and down my back. You can literally feel stress. It shows up in your body. But you can also let it go as you breathe.
So yeah, I think we're all set. Thank you, guys. I think, yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's it. So I'm relationships, you're holistic.
Holistic. The whole thing, holistic. Yes, holistic healing.
We have Gwen with
Nutrition.
Aligning.
Mindset.
All right, y'all. That is the Melanin Minds 5 pillars. All right, y'all. Give it up for the moderator, Mel. All right. Thank you so much, panelists. Y'all can make your way stage.